Captain Jake Morrison looked at his ship's control panel with growing fear. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The oxygen levels were dropping fast. His small exploration ship, the Horizon Dawn, was dying around him. 3 days ago, everything had been normal. Jake was on a routine mission to survey new star systems. Earth needed to find new worlds to explore and maybe settle. The trip was supposed to take 2 weeks. He would map the systems, take pictures, and return home with data for the scientists. But then everything went wrong at once. A power surge hit the ship's main computer. The engines stopped working. The life support system started failing. Even his radio was dead. Jake tried everything he could think of, but nothing worked. He was trapped between 2 star systems, millions of miles from anywhere. Jake sat in his pilot chair and stared out. At the stars, he had enough air for maybe 2 more days. The ship was too far from any trade routes. No one would find him out here. He thought about his sister back on Earth. She would never know what happened to him. He closed his eyes and tried to stay calm. His father had been a soldier and always said that panic kills faster than bullets. Jake took slow, deep breaths and tried to think. Maybe he could fix the radio. Maybe someone would hear his distress signal. Then his ship shook. Jake opened his eyes and saw something impossible. A huge alien ship floated next to his tiny vessel. It was unlike anything humans had ever built. The hull looked almost alive, with smooth curves and a pearl-like shine. Strange lights pulsed along its sides like a heartbeat. Jake's hands trembled as he stared at the alien ship. First contact. This was what every explorer dreamed of, but also feared. Were these aliens friendly? Would they help him or see him as a threat? A beam of light shot from the alien ship and scanned the Horizon Dawn. Jake felt his ship shake again, but gentler this time. Then something amazing happened. His radio crackled to life. "Unknown vessel," came a voice. It was clearly alien, with strange sounds mixed in, but Jake could understand it. "We detect life signs aboard your ship. Are you in distress?" Jake grabbed his radio microphone. His voice came out as a whisper. "Yes, my ship is dying. I need help. We are the Cathari. I am Captain Zara Veltar. We will help you." Jake felt tears in his eyes. He was not going to die alone in space within an hour. The alien ship had pulled the Horizon Dawn into its cargo bay. Jake put on his spacesuit and opened his ship's door. 3 aliens waited for him. They were tall and thin, with silver skin that seemed to glow softly. Their faces were almost human, but with larger eyes and no hair. They wore flowing robes that changed color as they moved. Captain Zara Veltar stepped forward. She was clearly the leader. "Welcome aboard our ship, human. You are safe now." Jake removed his helmet. The air smelled strange, but he could breathe it. "Thank you. I'm Captain Jake Morrison from Earth." "Earth," Zara repeated the word carefully. "We know of your world. Your people have just started traveling between the stars. You've been watching us?" Zara nodded. "Many species watch new civilizations. It is our way. Some of my people think humans are too aggressive, too quick to fight. But I believe you have potential." Over the next few days, Zara's crew worked to repair the Horizon Dawn. Jake watched them work with tools and technology that seemed like magic. They fixed his engines in ways he could not understand. They gave his ship new power systems that were 10 times better than what Earth could build. Jake spent hours talking with Zara. She told him about the galaxy beyond Earth's small corner of space. There were hundreds of intelligent species. Some were friendly and worked together. Others were hostile and conquered weaker civilizations. "Your people are not ready for contact with the greater galaxy," Zara explained. "You need time to grow, stronger, to learn, to prepare." "Prepare for what?" Zara's large eyes grew sad. There are those who would see Earth as a threat or a prize to be taken. The hegemony has destroyed many young civilizations. They fear what your people might become. Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. Are they coming for us? Not yet. But someday, perhaps. Your people expand so quickly. You adapt so fast. This frightens some species. As his ship's repairs neared completion, Jake knew this might be his only chance to learn about the galaxy. He asked Zara 1,000 questions. She answered what she could and showed him star maps with friendly and hostile territories marked. Why are you helping me? Jake asked on his last day aboard the Kethare ship. Zara was quiet for a long moment. Because you remind me of my own people long ago. We were also young and eager to explore. We made many mistakes, perhaps with guidance. Humans can avoid some of those mistakes. When it was time to leave, Zara gave Jake a small device. It looked like a crystal wrapped in metal wires. What is it? A quantum communicator, Zara explained. It will let you contact our people across any distance. But use it wisely. When your people are ready to join the galactic community, activate this device. We will answer. Jake held the device carefully. How will I know when we're ready? You will know, Zara said with something that might have been a smile. Your species has something special, a drive to protect others, even at great cost to yourselves. When that drive is strong enough, you will be ready. Jake returned to his repaired ship. The engines hummed with new power. His life support systems were better than anything on Earth. As he prepared to leave, Zara contacted him one last time. Remember, Jake Morrison of Earth, you are not meant to die alone in the dark. Your people are not meant to face the galaxy alone either. When the time comes, we will stand with you. The journey back to Earth took half the normal time with his upgraded engines. Jake spent every hour writing reports and planning what he would tell his superiors. First contact had happened. Humanity was no longer alone. But they were also not safe. As Earth grew larger in his view screen, Jake held the quantum communicator tightly. Somewhere out there, friendly aliens were waiting. But hostile ones might be waiting too. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders and dangers beyond imagination. Jake's rescue by the Kethari was just the beginning. He had been saved for a reason. Now he had to help prepare humanity for whatever was coming. The galaxy had noticed Earth. There would be no going back to the way things were before. One human had been helped by aliens. Soon, Jake hoped, Earth would be ready to help others in return. Jake Morrison stood in front of the most important people on Earth. The president sat at the head of the long table. Military generals, scientists, and government officials filled the room. All eyes were on Jake and the small crystal device in his hands. Let me understand this correctly, Captain Morrison, said Admiral Lisa Carter. She was the head of Earth's Space Defense Forces. You're telling us that aliens saved your life and gave you a way to contact them. Jake nodded. Yes, Admiral, the Kethari are real. They've been watching us for years. And there are hundreds of other alien species out there. General Mike Roberts leaned forward. Are they a threat? The Kethari? No, they want to help us. But there are others who might not be so friendly. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Earth's top scientist, for space research, studied the quantum communicator. This technology is beyond anything we've seen. If it really works, it could change everything. It works, Jake said. Captain Zara told me to use it when humanity is ready to join the galactic community. The president spoke up. What does that mean? Ready for what? Jake took a deep breath. There's something called the Galactic Consortium. It's like the United Nations, but for alien civilizations. Hundreds of species work together. But there's also something called the hegemony. They're bad. They destroy young civilizations, or make them slaves. The room went quiet. Everyone understood what Jake was saying. Humanity was not safe. Admiral Carter stood up. We need to contact these Ketharai immediately. We need to know what we're facing. I agree, said the President. Captain Morrison, activate that device. Jake held the quantum communicator and pressed. The small button on its side, the crystal began to glow. After a few seconds, a holographic image appeared above the device. It was Captain Zara Veltar. Jake Morrison, Zara said with what looked like a smile. I am pleased to see you safe. Is your species ready for contact? The President stepped forward. I'm the leader of Earth's government. We want to learn about the galaxy and our place in it. Zara studied the faces around the table. Very well. I will arrange for proper diplomatic contact. But know this, humans. The path ahead is dangerous. Over the next 6 months, Earth changed forever. Ambassador Ryan Brooks was chosen to lead talks with the Kethari. He was a smart diplomat who had solved many international problems on Earth. The first meeting took place on the moon. A Kethari ship landed at the human lunar base. Ryan and his team met with Captain Zara and her diplomats. The negotiations were careful and slow. We offer to sponsor your entry into the Galactic Consortium, Zara explained. But first, your people must understand what this means. Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked with Ketharai scientists to learn about alien technology and biology. The knowledge was overwhelming. Some alien species could live for thousands of years. Others could change their shape at will. Many had technology that seemed like magic to human eyes. The galaxy is far stranger than we imagined, Elena told. Her team, but also more wonderful. The Kethari shared star maps showing the locations of friendly civilizations. They also showed areas controlled by the hegemony. The hostile territory was growing larger each year. Admiral Carter studied the military information with growing concern. The hegemony had weapons that could destroy entire planets. Their ships were huge and heavily armed. Earth's space fleet looked like toys compared to hegemony dreadnoughts. How do we defend against something like this? She asked Commander Alex Stone, her best military planner. We learn, Alex replied. We adapt. We get stronger. The Kethari began sharing some of their technology with Earth, not their most advanced weapons, but tools that could help humanity grow, better engines for spaceships, new materials for building stronger hulls, medical devices that could cure diseases. But the most important gift was knowledge. The Kethari taught humans about the different alien species. They explained galactic politics and trade. They warned about the species to avoid and the ones that could be trusted. Jake Morrison became Earth's special liaison to the Kethari. He spent months on their ships, learning their language and customs. Zara became like a second family to him. Your people learn quickly, she told him one day. Faster than most species we have met. Is that good or bad? It depends on what you learn and how you use it. Meanwhile, disturbing reports reached Earth from the outer colonies. Mining stations on asteroids had gone missing. Research outposts reported strange ships in their systems. At first, people thought these were pirates or accidents. Commander Katie Sullivan was investigating one of these incidents. She commanded a patrol ship near Jupiter when she found the wreckage of a mining station. The damage was unlike anything caused by human weapons. Admiral Carter, she reported over the radio. This wasn't pirates. The weapon signatures don't match anything in our database. Admiral Carter felt her blood run cold. She called Jake immediately. Ask the Kethari about these attacks, she ordered. When Jake showed Zara the evidence, her face grew pale. This is hegemony work. They are probing your defenses, testing your responses. Why? Jake asked. Because they have noticed your rapid expansion. your growing technology. They want to see if you are a threat or easy prey. The news hit Earth leaders like a bomb. The hegemony was already watching them, already testing them. President Williams called an emergency meeting. How long do we have? Zara appeared via hologram to answer. Unknown. The hegemony moves slowly but surely. They study their targets for months or years before attacking, but they will attack eventually. General Roberts slammed his fist on the table. Then we fight. With what? Admiral Carter asked. Our entire space fleet couldn't stop one of their dreadnoughts. Then we build a bigger fleet, the president decided. We prepare for war. The next year was the busiest in human history. Every spaceship factory worked around the clock. New weapons were designed using Cathari knowledge. Earth's best minds studied alien warfare tactics. Dr. Rodriguez made breakthrough after breakthrough. Human technology jumped forward by decades in months. But it still was not enough. We need allies, Ambassador Brooks reported from his meetings with other species. Most are afraid of the hegemony. They won't fight. Some species were willing to sell weapons to Earth, but at high prices. Others offered to buy human colonies. If Earth fell, a few promised to remember humanity fondly after they were gone. Only the Cathari offered real help. They shared defensive technologies and promised to send medical aid if war came. But even they would not promise to fight alongside humans. We have our own people to protect, Zara explained sadly. The hegemony has destroyed entire species for helping their enemies. Commander Alex Stone worked day and night planning Earth's defense. He studied every battle the hegemony had fought. He looked for weaknesses and patterns. They always use the same strategy, he told Admiral Carter. Overwhelming force. They expect quick surrender. They're not used to long fights. So we don't surrender, Carter replied. Exactly. We make them fight for every inch. We make it cost them more than they expected. Jake Morrison traveled between Earth and Cathari space, carrying messages and gathering intelligence. The hegemony fleet was gathering in a system only 50 light years away. Scouts reported at least 100 warships. When will they come? Jake asked Zara during his last visit. Soon, she replied. Your people have grown too strong too quickly. The hegemony fears what you might become. They will try to crush you before you become a real threat. Jake returned to Earth with the final warning. The hegemony was coming. Earth had maybe 6 months to prepare. The president addressed the world on television. Citizens of Earth, we face the greatest challenge in human history. We are not alone in the universe, but we have made enemies before we made enough friends. War is coming. But humanity has faced extinction before and survived. We will survive this too. Across the planet, humans prepared for war. Not just soldiers, but everyone. Factories, farms, schools, and hospitals all had roles to play. Children learned about alien species in school. Farmers grew food for long sieges. Scientists worked on new weapons. Jake Morrison looked up at the stars from his apartment window. Somewhere out there, the hegemony fleet was coming. But humanity was not the same species that had almost lost one explorer in space. They were stronger now. They had allies. They had hoped. The galaxy had helped one human. Now Earth would show the galaxy what humans could do when they stood together. The real test was about to begin. The alarm bells rang across Earth's Space Command Center at exactly 6:23 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Lisa Carter ran to the main screen, still wearing her pajamas. What she saw made her blood freeze. Hundreds of alien ships filled the edge of the solar system. They were massive dark vessels that looked like floating cities. Each one was 10 times bigger than Earth's largest warship. Weapon ports glowed red along their hulls like angry eyes. How many? Carter asked. 437 ships, Admiral, reported Lieutenant Sam Davis from his console. They just appeared out of nowhere. Admiral Marcus Webb, commanding Earth's defense fleet, was already in space near Mars. His voice crackled over the radio. Admiral Carter, we count less than 200 ships in our entire fleet. We're outnumbered more than 2 to 1. Carter grabbed her uniform and started getting dressed right there in the command center. All ships to battle stations. Send the emergency signal to every human colony. Tell civilians to evacuate immediately. On the moon, Captain Katie Sullivan was loading her patrol ship with extra weapons when the enemy ships appeared on her screens. She had been expecting this day for months, but seeing it happen still shocked her. This is it, people, she told her crew. Everything we trained for comes down to this. The hegemony fleet moved slowly toward Earth. They were in no hurry. They had done this many times before. At the front of the enemy formation was the largest ship anyone had ever seen. It was as big as a small moon, covered in weapons and armor. Message came from the giant ship. The voice was cold and mechanical. Primitive humans of the third planet. I am General Krekstar of the Zeet-Thun Empire. You will surrender your world immediately, or face complete destruction. President Williams was in the underground bunker beneath Washington, D.C. He looked at Admiral Carter on the video screen. What? Are our chances? Carter's face was grim. Honestly, Mr. President, we probably can't win. But we can make them pay for every inch. And that's what we do. Send our reply. Admiral Webb transmitted humanity's answer to the hegemony fleet. General Krekstar, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of Earth Defense Command. We reject your demand. If you want our world, you'll have to take it. General Krekstar's laugh came over the radio like grinding metal. Foolish. You are the 17th species I have conquered. They all said the same thing. They all died the same way. The first battle took place near Pluto. Captain Pete Collins commanded a small squadron of human fighters. His job was to scout the enemy and report back. When he saw the hegemony ships up close, he could barely speak. Command, these things are. Huge. Our weapons might not even scratch their armor. But when the enemy fired on Collins' fighters, something unexpected happened. The human pilots were faster and more clever than the aliens expected. Collins dodged between asteroids, using them as shields. His wingman, Lieutenant Ann Foster, actually managed to hit a weak spot on an enemy cruiser. I got one, she shouted. Over the radio, these things can be hurt. The news spread quickly through the human fleet. The enemy ships were big and powerful, but they were not invincible. Admiral Webb decided to use Earth's asteroid belt as a fortress. His ships hid among the rocks, using them for cover. When enemy ships came close, the humans would attack and then disappear again. Captain Katie Sullivan led the defense of Luna Station, the big space station orbiting the moon. When 50 hegemony ships attacked, she had only 12 human vessels to defend with. We can't fight them head-on, she told her captains. We have to be smarter. Katie remembered studying ancient battles in military school. Sometimes small forces beat larger ones by using clever tactics. She ordered her ships to spread out and attack from different directions at the same time. The alien commanders were confused. They expected humans to either run away or attack in one big group. Instead, human ships came from everywhere at once, hit hard, and disappeared before the aliens could respond. Meanwhile, Jake Morrison was on a Cathari ship at the edge of the solar system. Captain Zara Veltar watched the battle with sadness. Your people fight bravely, she said, but they cannot win against such numbers. Can't you help them? Jake begged. Zara's face was pained. We are already helping in secret. Medical supplies, ammunition, Some of our best pilots are volunteering to fly human ships, but we cannot openly fight the hegemony. They would destroy our worlds too. But other alien species were also watching the battle. Many had been conquered by the hegemony years ago. They saw something in the human defense that gave them hope. On a ship hidden in deep space, Captain Jorik of the Valani Resistance sent a coded message to his people. The humans are not giving up. They keep fighting even when they should be dead. Maybe we were wrong to surrender so easily. The battle for Mars lasted 6 months. Colonel Danny Hayes commanded the defense of the Red Planet's orbital shipyards. These factories were building new warships as fast as possible. If the hegemony captured them, Earth would lose its ability to replace destroyed vessels. General Krekstar sent wave after wave of ships to take Mars, but every attack failed. The humans used the planet's 2 moons as bases. They hid ships in the deep canyons on Mars' surface. They even used the dust storms to hide their movements. How are they still fighting? Krekstar demanded of his officers. We have destroyed half their fleet. They build new ships, General, his aide replied, and their tactics keep changing. Every time we figure out their strategy, they try something new. Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked day and night in the underground laboratories. She and her team were building new weapons using both human and Cathari technology. The most successful was a small missile that could slip past enemy shields. It's not very powerful, she explained to Admiral Carter, but if we can hit them in the right places, we can damage their engines or weapons. The new missiles worked better than anyone hoped. Human fighters could now hurt even the biggest enemy ships. But the cost was terrible. Earth was losing 3 ships for every enemy vessel destroyed. Captain Ben Foster took command of the Mars defense when Colonel Hayes was wounded. He had an idea that was either brilliant or insane. What if we don't try to stop them from landing on Mars? He suggested, what if we let them come down and then trap them there? It was a desperate plan. Foster allowed hegemony troops to land on Mars, then attacked their transport ships. The enemy soldiers were stuck on the planet's surface, while human ships controlled the space around Mars. General Krekstar was furious. No species had ever trapped his troops like this. He sent more ships to rescue them, but the humans were ready. The battle in Mars orbit became the biggest space fight in the system's history. Captain Katie Sullivan was there with her squadron. She watched human pilots perform impossible maneuvers to avoid enemy fire. Lieutenant Tommy Chun flew as damaged fighter directly into the engines of a hegemony cruiser, destroying both ships but saving a civilian transport full of families. These humans are insane, one alien officer told another. They sacrifice themselves to save others. Who does that? After 6 months of fighting, General Krekstar had lost more ships than in his previous 5 conquests combined. His superiors were demanding answers. The human fleet was smaller than when the battle started, but they were still fighting. Dr. Rodriguez made another breakthrough. She figured out how to disrupt the hegemony's communication systems. Suddenly, enemy ships could not coordinate their attacks properly. Admiral Webb seized the opportunity. He ordered every human ship to attack at once. The assault came from all directions. Crippled human vessels that could barely fly rammed into enemy dreadnoughts. Fighter pilots with no ammunition left used their ships as missiles. General Krekstar watched his fleet falling apart. These humans did not fight like any species he had ever faced. They did not know when to quit. They turned every defeat into a new strategy. They sacrificed everything to protect each other. Pull back, he finally ordered. Retreat to the outer system. The human fleet was in ruins, but they had done the impossible. They had forced the mighty hegemony to retreat. The victory celebration lasted only minutes before everyone got back to work. They knew Krekstar would return with more ships. Jake Morrison received a coded message from Captain Zara. Other species were starting to resist the hegemony too. The human defense had inspired rebellions across the galaxy. Admiral Carter stood in the rebuilt command center and looked at the damage reports. Earth had lost over half its fleet, but they were alive. More importantly, they had learned how to fight the hegemony and win. They'll be back, she told her staff, and when they come, we'll be ready. But next time, Earth would not be defending alone. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when their backs were against the wall. The hegemonies. Days of easy conquest were over. 2 years after the hegemony's retreat, Earth looked like a completely different world. Massive shipyards floated in orbit around every planet. The moon's surface was covered with weapons factories. Even the asteroid belt had been turned into a fortress. Admiral Lisa Carter walked through the bridge of humanity's new flagship, the UES Vengeance. The ship was 3 times bigger than anything Earth had built before. Its hull was made from human steel, mixed with Cathari metals. Its weapons could punch through the armor of a hegemony dreadnought. Status report, Carter asked Captain Ben Foster, the ship's commander. All systems ready, Admiral. The fleet is assembled and waiting for your orders. Carter looked out at the 50 warships floating near Earth. Each one carried the lessons learned from the Mars siege. Fast engines, smart weapons, and crews trained to fight against impossible odds. But this time, Earth was not waiting to be attacked. They were going on the offensive. The target was the Korath system, a peaceful alien world that had been conquered by the hegemony 6 months ago. The Korath were traders and artists who had never hurt anyone. Their desperate pleas for help had reached Earth through secret channels. Jake Morrison stood beside Admiral Carter on the bridge. He was now Earth's special ambassador to Liberated Worlds. The Korath sent another message yesterday. The hegemony is forcing them to build weapons in slave factories. Not for much longer, Carter replied. Captain Foster, signal the fleet. We're moving out. The Liberation fleet jumped to hyperspace, using engines improved with alien technology. The journey to Korath took 3 days instead of the months it would have taken with old Earth ships. When they arrived, they found a hegemony occupation force of 30 ships orbiting the Korath homeworld. The enemy commander probably expected an easy victory against any rescue attempt. Instead, he faced the fury of Earth's new battle fleet. Commander Rachel Price led the fighter attack. Her squadron of 40 small ships moved like a swarm of angry wasps. They had practiced this maneuver 1,000 times. Remember, people, she told her pilots, hit fast, hit hard, and don't give them time to think. The human fighter struck the hegemony fleet from 6 different directions at once. Unlike the desperate defense of Mars, this was a carefully planned assault. Every pilot knew exactly where to go and what to target. Captain Tony Martinez commanded the heavy cruiser, New York. His job was to take out the enemy's biggest ships while the fighters kept the smaller vessels busy. Lock missiles on the lead dreadnought, he ordered. All tubes rapid fire. The new human missiles were much better than the ones used at Mars. They could slip through enemy shields and hit weak spots with deadly accuracy. The hegemony dreadnought's shields collapsed under the barrage, but the real surprise came from the Korath themselves. When they saw human ships fighting to free them, they rebelled against their hegemony guards. Korath workers in the orbital factories turned their construction tools into weapons. They seized control of several space stations and started firing on the enemy fleet. The battle lasted only 6 hours. When it was over, the hegemony occupation force was completely destroyed. Not a single enemy ship escaped to carry word back to their commanders. Jake Morrison was in the first shuttle to land on the Korath homeworld. Thousands of alien civilians gathered to welcome their liberators. The Korath looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin and forearms. Their leader, Elder Corin had tears streaming down his face. "We thought no one would come," Corin said, in broken English. "The hegemony told us that resistance was hopeless, that no one could stand against them." "They were wrong," Jake replied. "Earth doesn't abandon friends." Word of the Korith liberation spread across the galaxy faster than light. Species that had lived in fear of the hegemony for generations suddenly had hope. If humans could free one world, maybe they could free others. Admiral Carter received dozens of messages from conquered worlds begging for help. She studied the star maps in her command center. There were so many enslaved civilizations, and Earth's fleet was still small. "We can't save everyone at once," she told her staff. "We need to be smart about this." Commander Alex Stone had spent months studying hegemony territory. He pointed to several systems on the map. "If we hit these key systems, we can cut their supply lines, make it harder for them to move their fleets around." The next target was the Vexani mining colonies. The spider-like Vexani had been enslaved for over 50 years. They were forced to dig rare metals that the hegemony used to build their biggest warships. Captain Ben Foster led the assault with a fleet of 25 ships. The hegemony had learned from their defeat at Korith and sent more defenders. But they had not learned enough. The human fleet used a new tactic developed by Dr. Elena Rodriguez. They deployed clouds of tiny robots that could disable enemy sensors. Blind hegemony ships fired at shadows, while human vessels struck from unexpected angles. Lieutenant Sarah Mills piloted her fighter through the middle of the enemy formation. Her job was to plant bombs on the hegemony command ship. It was almost a suicide mission, but she volunteered anyway. "For Earth and freedom," she whispered as she dodged enemy fire. Sarah's bombs crippled the hegemony command vessel. Without central coordination, the enemy fleet fell apart. The Vexani workers seized control of their mining equipment and used it to attack their guards. The liberation of Vexani Prime was even faster than Korith. The enemy never had a chance to organize a proper defense. Elder Vexthul, the Vexani leader, clicked his mandibles in gratitude. "For 50 years, we dreamed of freedom. Human courage has made that dream real." But Jake Morrison brought disturbing news from his contacts among friendly alien species. The hegemony is gathering their main fleet. General Krekstar is convinced that if he can destroy Earth, the rebellions will collapse. "How big a fleet?" Admiral Carter asked. "Over 1,000 ships. Everything they have in this part of the galaxy." Carter felt cold fear in her stomach. Even with all their improvements, Earth could not face odds like that. But help was coming from unexpected places. Captain Jorik of the Velani Resistance arrived at Earth with 15 ships full of volunteers. Elder Corin brought the Korith trade fleet, converted into warships. The Vexani sent their mining vessels, armed with drilling lasers that could cut through any armor. Even the Cathari finally decided to act openly. Captain Zara Veltar arrived with 50 of their most advanced cruisers. "We can no longer pretend. This is not our fight," she told Admiral Carter. "If the hegemony crushes the human rebellion, they will be stronger than ever. They must be stopped here." The final battle would take place at Zekthon Prime, the hegemony's home system. It was defended by massive orbital fortresses and the largest fleet ever assembled. But the Allied forces were not the same species that had cowered before hegemony. Power for so long. Admiral Carter commanded the combined fleet from the Bridge of the Vengeance. Over 200 ships from 15 different species followed her into battle. It was the largest alliance the galaxy had ever seen. "All ships, this is Admiral Carter," she broadcast to the fleet. "Today we end the hegemony's reign of terror. Today we show the galaxy that freedom is worth fighting for." The Battle of Zekthon Prime lasted 3 days. Human tactics mixed with alien technology created strategies the hegemony had never faced. Korath traders used their knowledge of supply routes to cut off enemy reinforcements. Vexani mining ships burrowed through asteroid fields to attack from impossible angles. Cathari cruisers provided cover for human fighters, making desperate attacks on enemy fortresses. Captain Ben Foster led the final assault on General Krextar's flagship. The massive vessel was protected by dozens of smaller ships, but the Allied fleet cut through them like a sword. "This is for everyone you enslaved," Foster said as the Vengeance's main guns fired. General Krextar's flagship exploded in a burst of light that could be seen from 3 star systems away. With their leader dead and their main fleet destroyed, the hegemony forces surrendered. Jake Morrison was part of the team that accepted the hegemony's surrender. The alien officers who had once seemed so powerful now looked defeated and afraid. "We underestimated your species," the new hegemony commander admitted. "We thought you fought only for yourselves. We did not understand that you fight for others." The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Hundreds of worlds needed to be freed and rebuilt. Former enemies had to learn to live in peace. The galaxy needed new laws and new ways of settling disputes. Admiral Carter became the first human to address the expanded Galactic Consortium. Representatives from over 400 species listened as she spoke. Earth did not seek to rule the galaxy, she said. "We fought to protect it. The new consortium will be based on cooperation, not conquest. On justice, not power." Jake Morrison, the man whose rescue had started it all, was chosen as Earth's permanent ambassador to the consortium. He often thought about his conversation with Captain Zara years ago. "You said humans had potential," he told her during the victory celebration. "Did you know it would lead to this?" Zara smiled. "I hoped. Your species has something rare in the galaxy. You see a stranger in danger and think I must help instead of not my problem. That is why you were meant to be protectors, not conquerors."